Daniel, a 32-year-old software engineer, was driving home after a late-night work meeting. Exhaustion clung to him, a heavy cloak against the backdrop of a starless night. His headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the lonely stretch of highway. Rain began to fall, a soft patter against the windshield, quickly escalating into a relentless torrent. Daniel switched on the wipers, their rhythmic swish doing little to soothe his growing unease. The GPS, its usually cheerful voice distorted by static, urged him onto an unfamiliar detour. Recalculating, it droned. A wave of discomfort washed over him. This detour was uncharted, a dark blotch on his otherwise familiar route. The detour led him away from the highway's comforting glow, onto a narrow road swallowed by dense woods. The asphalt was cracked and pitted, almost reclaimed by nature's grasp. The further he drove, the heavier the atmosphere grew, a suffocating blanket of dread settling over him. He tried to shake off the feeling, attributing it to fatigue and the unsettling weather. The rain hammered against the car, its intensity mirroring the growing unease in Daniel's chest. He rolled down his window a fraction, hoping to catch a signal on his phone. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and something else, something ancient and unsettling. It was then that he saw it, an old wooden signpost, half hidden in the shadows. The signpost was weathered and worn, its once bold lettering reduced to indecipherable whispers. A solitary lantern, swaying gently in the wind, hung from one of its arms, casting flickering shadows that danced ominously around it. It seemed out of place, a beacon from another time, a forgotten sentinel guarding this desolate path. Daniel's grip tightened on the steering wheel. Hesitantly, he pulled over to the side of the road, the silence of the woods suddenly deafening against the ceaseless drumming of the rain. He considered turning back, the GPS's insistent voice suddenly an unwelcome intrusion, but something drew him forward, a morbid curiosity he couldn't ignore. He stepped out of the car and into the deluge, his shoes sinking into the mud. As Daniel approached the signpost, squinting to make out the faded letters, a figure emerged from the shadows. A tall, gaunt man with piercing blue eyes, his face obscured by the wide brim of a rain-soaked hat. He held a lantern, identical to the one hanging from the post, its flickering light casting grotesque shadows that danced across his weathered features. He spoke, his voice a low rumble that seemed to emanate from the earth itself. "Lost, are you?" the man rasped, his eyes boring into Daniel's. "This road, it doesn't take kindly to strangers." His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Daniel, unsure how to respond, simply nodded, a shiver running down his spine. The man's gaze remained fixed, unwavering. "Turn back," he warned, his voice barely a whisper now, lost in the howling wind, "while you still can." Section 5, Whispers in the Dark. Daniel, heart pounding in his chest, stumbled back to his car. The unsettling encounter left him shaken, the stranger's warning echoing in his ears. He fumbled with the keys, his hands trembling as he started the engine. As he turned the car around, he could have sworn he saw figures watching him from the edge of the woods, their forms shifting and swaying in the darkness. Their whispers, carried on the wind, sent chills down his spine. He sped away, desperate to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the road and the chilling encounter. The GPS, as if suddenly jolted back to life, directed him back towards the highway. But the feeling of unease lingered, a cold dread clinging to him like a second skin. He glanced at the rearview mirror, half expecting to see the stranger's piercing blue eyes staring back at him. Section 6. The Vanishing. News of Daniel's disappearance spread quickly through his small town. His car, abandoned on the side of the highway, was discovered the next morning. The driver's seat was empty, the keys still in the ignition, the engine cold. His phone, tossed onto the passenger seat, displayed a garbled message. The last few texts he sent to his fiancée filled with frantic pleas for help and incoherent descriptions of a shadowy figure and a forgotten road. Searches were organized, but they yielded nothing. The detour mentioned by the GPS seemed non-existent, a phantom route on digital maps. Daniel, a man of logic and reason, had seemingly vanished into thin air, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a community shrouded in fear. Section 7. Local legends. Whispers of the forgotten road soon began to circulate. Locals, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and resignation, shared ancient tales of a path that led astray, a place where time and reality blurred, and those who dared to enter were seldom seen again. They spoke of a spectral hitchhiker, a harbinger of doom, who lured unsuspecting travelers to their demise. Some dismissed these stories as folklore, remnants of a bygone era, but others, those who knew the land and its secrets, believed. They knew that some roads were better left untraveled, some paths better left forgotten. Section 8. Searching for answers. Driven by grief and a desperate need for answers, Daniel's fiancée Sarah refused to give up. She scoured missing person databases, consulted with local historians, and even sought the advice of a paranormal investigator. Her determination fueled by a sliver of hope and a deep-seated fear that the legends surrounding the forgotten road were more than mere folklore. She learned of other disappearances, all eerily similar to Daniel's, all linked to the same stretch of highway, the same phantom detour. Each case had eventually gone cold, the missing souls dismissed as victims of misadventure or foul play. But Sarah refused to believe it. She felt it in her gut, a chilling certainty that Daniel was still out there, trapped somewhere in the labyrinthine embrace of the forgotten road. Section 9. The Forgotten Road. Years have passed, and the mystery surrounding Daniel's disappearance remains unsolved. The Forgotten Road, a chilling testament to the unknown, continues to claim its victims, their fates forever entwined with the legends that shroud it. Some say that on a moonless night, when the wind whispers through the trees and the rain falls like tears, one can still hear the echo of a car horn, a desperate plea for help lost in the desolate expanse of the forgotten road. And so the legend lives on, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, some roads are best left untraveled, and some paths, once taken, offer no return.